Hey guys, it's Katie, and I'm here today to talk about why I obsess over my TBR. Because as you guys know, I regularly talk about on Twitter and here how much I actually go through my Goodreads TBR shelf and cull things or rearrange things and create different shelves for them and things. And honestly, it's just kind of gotten out of hand, and I feel like I need to have a discussion about it to try and hash out my thoughts on why I do things, and then also just kind of the booktube community in general and the out of hand TBR adventures. So first, talking about me and my process, honestly, I think a lot of my obsessiveness comes down to the fact that I feel like that's something that I have control over. I am currently in like this period of my life where I have a lot of unknowns, and I feel like I don't have a ton of control over everything that I am dealing with because, as you guys know, I am finishing up my last year of law school, finished with a bar, and I'll be starting, a job and adjusting to life outside of school, because I've been in school for, a quarter of my life. I turned 26 in May, and I've been in school since I was 3. So literally a quarter of my life, all of my life, I've spent in school up to this point. And now that I'm not anymore, I just have a feeling that it's going to be a bit of a transition period. But anyway, I digress. I really think that because my TBR is something that I have control over, I have control over the things that I read and the things that I am really interested in, and that's really what it boils down to. Last year, my TBR was close to 1,000 books, and it just felt so overwhelming, and so it did not need to be that big. And so I decided to spring clean it, and I got it down to what I thought was a reasonable amount, and I thought was going to be something that I was going to read. But then as I periodically decided to go through it every couple of months, I realized that there was actually quite a bit more that I wanted to cull it down to. So ultimately I took it down from, just being books that I don't want to read or that I'm kind of on the fence about, but also removing books that were consecutive books in a series. So I was just going to leave the first books and then, see how I liked them and whatever, because I had a lot of series on there, and in some ways I still do, but those are series I know I'm going to read in their entirety at some point because of a lot of different reasons. And so I just felt like I had control over it, and that I felt that I was able to have a good grasp on that aspect of my life. And so I was just kind of overcompensating for everything and by organizing that aspect of my life and going through it as much as possible, because every other aspect of my life felt a little bit more chaotic and out of my control. But at the same time, I've always been a list maker, and I've always really enjoyed organizing and cleaning out things. It's just very cathartic and very calming to me. As weird as that might sound, I really, really like cleaning and organizing a lot of my life. There are days where I absolutely hate it, and there are certain types of cleaning that I despise. But if it's like going through my closet or reorganizing my bedroom or going through a book collection or reorganizing a bookshelf or something like that, I absolutely love that aspect of my life. Like, one of the things that I'm really looking forward to when we finally are able to get out of our house is reorganizing everything. I went way back when in high school, when I took my MBTI test thing, it literally told me that the career that I was most suited for was interior design. And that was super interesting to me because I don't feel like I have the skills for that. I don't necessarily feel like I have just a lot of things that would go along with that. But then as years went by and I came to law school and I got my own apartment and everything, I was super into the decorating and planning out how I wanted to organize my apartment aspect of everything. I literally have a theme picked out. It's sea themed, in case you didn't know. By all of my other videos, I have that giant wave picture right over there on my wall. It's super calming. I love looking at it. And that color scheme and that theme is heavily present throughout my apartment. And in doing that, it gave me a purpose and gave me something that I really, really enjoyed. I just love the idea of making a space my own and creating something that I know that I'm going to enjoy rather than have it be some kind of chaotic mess. I mean, when I was younger, when I was 10, that was when we redid my room. And that was when, you know, the clouds came into the picture and the bunnies on the bottom and the fairies and butterflies that lead into my bathroom and whatnot. I was a heavily part of that process of picking out how I wanted my room to be. And I've always loved whimsical things. I've always been into whimsy and fantastical things. I was having this war with myself because I also had dogs and horses picked out as a theme, but I just couldn't make it work. Like, I was also debating between wanting to do murals or just wallpaper, and ultimately, much to my dismay, I ended up choosing wallpaper. And current Katie is kicking past Katie in the butt for that because I would have loved having a mural more, I think. It would have looked a lot better. But you guys seem to really love the wallpaper, and I mean, I'm sorry, but in case you haven't seen, the wallpaper is now gone, and my room is this kind of like whitish gray, and it's really depressing. But we have to do that in order to get more people into the house, because apparently a lot of people don't like that, and it's just more work for them. So the wallpaper had to go, unfortunately. Anyway, kind of just going back to books, I mean, it's just gotten to the point where it's just something that I really enjoyed, and because I can't do anything with my physical books right now, I was just overcompensating every aspect of everything and just putting all of my organizational and, you know, cleaning desires that I've had for a long time into doing it there, because it was easy access and it was just really easy, and cleaning on a computer versus cleaning in person just is less time consuming, less work. I don't know, my logic is maybe slightly flawed, but I would just periodically go through it, and then it became something that I did weekly, and then there was a point where I was doing it daily, and it just got to be a lot. And I finally kind of hit a chill period in like March where I wasn't going through it every week and every day. And I haven't touched my TBR really since February, which is good. I've got it where I want it, and do I periodically go through it and check it out? Yeah, and sometimes, which is also unhealthy, I tend to plan out my year in advance. So I mean, as you guys know, I have a year-long TBR, and within that year-long TBR, I've got, you know, all of these things that are going on and whatnot. So started planning ahead for next year, and I know I'm going to kick myself for doing that at this point, because look at me. I am a mood reader, and I will have a little bit more flexibility now that I am working, and, you know, will sort of have weekends maybe to myself a little bit, weekends and evenings, to read and enjoy things without the constraints of homework and stuff. And here I am planning out my year, the first year that I'm going to be free to just kind of adjust and do what I want, kind of a thing. And here I am planning out a year-long TBR again. But I think really, when I sit back and think about it, it's me just planning out and picking out the books that I am prioritizing, picking out books that I want to get to quicker. But then at the same time, that will change in an instant, and I might not be as interested in those books as I was in the moment that I was creating that list than I am now. I mean, it's just, I have a problem. I have a compulsive problem to just organize my life. I don't know if I have OCD. I've never looked into it. And this is something that brings me calm peace. And I know that might sound like crazy, and I know I joke with people about it, and people sometimes occasionally make fun of me for it, and I take it with full, like, joyful pleasure, because it's just really, really funny to me. And I'm all about self-deprecation sometimes. Like, it's fine. Like, I have been, quote, jazzed my whole life. It's something my dad's prepared me for well, and that's prepared me for real life in a lot of ways. So, I mean, feel free to roast the hell out of me any day of the week, because it's hysterical to me. I know that I have this, like, crazy issue, and I don't know how to fix it, and I don't know if I want to fix it. But at the same time, it's really frustrating for me because there's just so much that's going on with this. But then I sit back and I look at other booktubers, and I notice that some people do the same thing. Some people obsessively think about their TBR just like I do. And it's really interesting to watch because it's not something that I ever thought would be, like me. Like, as obsessive as I am, I know people, like, there are people on Twitter that I follow who are constantly talking about how large their TBR is and how they want to read all of the things at once and they have no time to do it. I mean, I'm sure all of us booktubers feel that way, but honestly, I feel that way a lot. Like, sometimes a bi-monthly basis, like every 2 weeks, I feel like I just want to consume everything all at once so that I can, have a bit more freedom and not be constrained to having all of these books like an albatross around my neck. But, like, I really also am genuinely interested in them. I just want to consume them faster, and I just can't do that. And I mean, I watch some people consume like 200 plus books in a year, and I'm like, how? I can only consume maximum like 4 books a month, and that's if I'm constantly reading. And it also depends on the size of the book that I'm reading, and I'm just sitting there mind-boggled by this thing. But then I also realize that I'm not the only one that feels this way. Sometimes the easiest way to go about it is to, like, think that you are the only one who feels this way. But honestly, you're not the only one that feels this way. And it's just sometimes hard for me to come to grasps with. But as I was saying before, like, just watching people on Twitter constantly talking about their TBRs and how looming they are and how overwhelming they feel, it makes me feel better because I'm not the only one. And I know I actively go through my TBR to make sure that the books that I still have on there are books that I actually want to read. And a lot of it is just for my sanity, honestly. Just, yeah. I mean, getting rid of books, as I said, so cathartic. But then also there are some that I'm just super on the fence about, and I love getting your input on it because it's just something extra that I can talk to people about and interact with people about. It's like, you read this book, okay, tell me why you think I would like it. Based on what you know about me and my channel and my life, based on our interactions and things, what makes you think that I would like or would not like this book? And there are very few people in the world, honestly, that I can genuinely say I trust to the utmost with book recommendations and bookish thoughts. I can probably count on my hand how many people I actually really truly trust when it comes to book recommendations. Other people might recommend them to me and I'll be like, oh, that's cool, I'll like go check it out and see if I'll be interested in it. When I say, I'll look into this further, I don't mean I'm going to add this to my TBR and read it. It means I'm going to dig into it a little bit more, read the summary that, Goodreads provides. Maybe check out a review or two, or reach out to people that I know who may or may not have read it that I actually trust and get their opinion on it. So I'm just doing all of this fact gathering about this book to determine whether or not I even want to read it in the first place. I've become quite a bit more selective with the things that I'm adding to my TBR, but then there are some times where I'll impulsively add something, and I mean, that's good too. So I mean, it's just, for me, my goal is to just try and find a good balance, because right now it just feels like a very big imbalance, and I don't like that. Anyway, I don't know what this video was, except for just kind of some rambly discussion about random things about my life and random observations I've made, but I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to talk to you about anything that I talked about here in this video down below in the comments or on social media. Feel free to reach out wherever. But anyway, that's about, I guess, all I've got. If you guys have any more comments or things, as I said, feel free to leave them down below or come talk to me on Twitter, which is @ASeaOfTomes, which is the same as my handle here. You can also find me on Goodreads, which the link is also down below for you guys to check out if you want. But other than that, I'll catch you later in another video. Bye!